making Nick a co-host? Got it. Friends, welcome to the Rotary Club of Dupont Circle. I'm the president, Luke Beer. I'm really happy to have special guests here tonight to speak to us, but we're also going to continue with our regular activities and fellowship. So to start the meeting off, I'd ask Gaston, would you please read the mission statement of our club?
With pleasure. We use our professional diversity and international perspective to serve our community, both local and global, in concrete ways through hard work, innovation, and creativity. Synergy at the club lets us have a higher impact on the world than possible as an individual while enriching us through fellowship.
Awesome, man. And before I flip onto the toast, just so everyone's aware, if you have any issue, we are recording this. We do love to share it on our YouTube channel and through our other social media channels. So if you have an issue, cast a hand. Otherwise, I'm going to flip to Austin to ask for the toast of the meeting.
All right, I just found this online real quick. So there are good ships and there are wood ships, the ships that sail the sea. But the best ships are friendships, and may they always be. Cheers to you all. Cheers.
May they always be.
Cheers. Okay, Austin, you're officially giving toast every week. I love it.
Awesome, guys.
Great toast.
Well, that's just great. I want to say then next, as we have a few more friends join us, I see that Carson's here and Quinn's here. Thank you. And Phil, Guillermo as well. Maybe we'll flip over to Jessica. Well, Jessica, would you like to read the news? And then we'll ask our other colleagues if they have other news. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. I'm with you. I was just posting some information in the chat. Yes, the most exciting news. Hold on to the edge of your seats. We are going to have a phenomenal service event on Saturday, this Saturday, September 25th. The details will come to you again in a newsletter that will be sent out tonight or tomorrow, but it's in partnership with City Blossoms. I want to get all of this down for those of you who may not have time to read the newsletter. It's from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. at 1480 Girard Street. We've done projects with them before in the past. It's been a blast. I've got April's email linked in the newsletter. I also have an RSVP link to join us on Saturday, but do join us because this will be our meeting for next week. In other words, every fourth Tuesday, there will be some service event around it. So there won't be a traditional meeting because service is at the heart of what we do. Okay, Saturday, September 25th, 10 to 1, sign up. World Polio Day is coming up. I love President Luke's virtual background. Look for details on the virtual lunch for World Polio Day. Also some information about Rotary Leadership Institute and a training session this Thursday and Saturday on the Rotary Foundation. Speaking of the foundation, I just checked today. We have hit the $1,000 mark in our contributions as a club to the Rotary Foundation. Okay, I'm excited. You should be excited too. Our goal is to get every member to give at least $25 over the course of this Rotary year to every Rotarian every year. So yes, if you have not given your $25, or if you want to give more, you know, we're a super generous club. Reach out to me or see the information in your newsletter. And that's all I got right now. Thanks, folks.
Outstanding. Thank you, Jessica. You reminded me of a few things there. One, everyone signed in as well. And the attendance form is there. That's very cool because we have Kristen doing attendance now as secretary, and she's very serious. She reported to the board, and I must say there's some concerns. Anyways, past that, it reminded me too about our backgrounds, and our guest speaker last week, Darren from City Dogs, was just awesome. Very interesting person, wonderful speaker, unbelievable a number of animals and people that they have helped connect. 8,800. My favorite was when he said that he didn't think that cats would sell. And he says now they've rehomed more cats than dogs. It was
So
wonderful.
total of 8,900 and more, because they keep bringing in like 20 animals every Saturday.
It's unbelievable. It was such an interesting talk. And he noted as well, just from my background, he said, oh my goodness, I work in medical administration and I assumed the polio was eradicated, but he was just operating on the assumption based on it being eradicated in America. So, that was a very cool thing. I'm going to keep this order certainly up until our end polio event. And if I could just direct now, I have a colleague that's just joined here, Hamid Sangzai. That's former past president, Rotary Club of Kabul City. He's a young colleague of mine, good friend. Hamid, can you hear us right now? Can you talk? You don't have to come on camera, my man, but just say hello and introduce yourself.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone is okay. Thank you so much, Luke, for your sending me the link of this important meeting. I hope everything is okay with you guys. I am good, and I have a good news for you guys that since 4 months, right now I am in the United States.
Oh,
And I came here before the problems make in Afghanistan. I came here, and right now I'm in the Washington, and I have done with my lots of process here to be eligible as a resident of United States, and I hope that will work here in the United States.
outstanding. Congratulations, Sangzai. I'm sorry, mate, that we didn't catch up. This is the first time that him and I have been able to reconnect. I'm so glad. One time we did a television interview in Kabul, the pair of us, promoting Rotary. I think that was probably the high water mark of our marketing efforts in Kabul. Well, that's great. Thank you so much for joining us, Hamid. We have a colleague here, Nick, that's going to be our guest speaker. But right now, I just also want to say a couple more things related to what our board's been talking about. We had a very successful board meeting. Board meetings are always the second Tuesday of every month following our immediate meetings. So please feel free to join if you'd like, or at least send any issues, topics. I generally try and solicit the committee heads of each committee. I can say that we've got great programming going. Not only it all came together so nicely there last week, and not only do we have District Governor Gita to speak to our club on the 12th of October, but on the 5th of October, we have our Rotaract Club from Howard University. They're going to be presenting on their year. So, I mean, we're lined up and leading right into October 19th, which will be a meeting that will focus on polio. World Polio Day, of course, is October 24th. And I don't think we'll solicit and create our own day or event, but certainly we'll make it a polio focused meeting. And maybe I'll talk with Sangzai about his connections and colleagues. And if not, perhaps Dr. Arab will come back and speak to us again, who spoke last year. And then past that, I also wanted to make sure that everyone pays their dues. Mandy is a wonderful treasurer, but she is not very good at being tough. And also I wanted to remind everyone that the Rotary magazine that comes around, I was so happy to visit my apartment in DC. I got reunited with 5 or 6 months of the Rotarian magazine. And it's really wonderful. Every time I read it, it gives me joy. And I took a page out of Kristen's little trickery book, and that is to leave 5 of them at Reagan International Airport as I was flying out. I got some stares, definitely, as I cast them across the bar. But yeah.
Did they ask you if any of that luggage had been handled by anyone else?
I was more concerned about the ground beef I was smuggling through from my father's farm to share with my colleagues. Yeah, like getting arrested for distributing contraband magazines, perhaps. It was a wonderful week back in DC. I talked about it a little bit last week. Thank you so much to those of you who came and met up with us. And I loved my Rotary magazine, so I encourage everyone else to jump in on that. And past that, maybe we'll, is there any other news that people want mentioned?
I'll just quickly highlight, I launched our club's TikTok channel this week. Wanted to say thank you to Jessica and Luke so far for sending some videos over. If anybody wants to participate in that and do a video of what Rotary means to you, or what you've benefited from this club or anything like that, send me an email afterwards. Would love to get you involved on that.
So I will, in front of everyone, say that I was given a deadline of this meeting to put a video together. And I have to be completely honest with you guys that I didn't, because I tried blow drying my hair yesterday for the first time since June, and I'm still working stuff out. So I'm going to do it tomorrow after I've completed my self-training.
We'll push the deadline back, no problem.
And I see April's just joined us. April, we made a big plug for the volunteer event on Saturday, and Gaston has already said he's gonna jump in. So we're again really excited. If you didn't hear me the first time, we're excited about
terrific.
Saturday.
Yeah, bring friends if you can come. Invite a friend. Thanks.
Yeah, and I just want to follow up on that. Colleagues, we made a decision through our surveys and otherwise and our strategic planning to open up a little bit more time for service and less demands to be joining in meetings. So as a club, as long as we have active participation in these service events and service days, then we'll continue to do them. So please make it a priority, because otherwise it's just more class time. That's the bottom line. And so we want more field trips, less class time. I believe that would be universally upheld. So thank you again, Austin, as well. Guy keeps sending me updates about how many thousands of views we have on TikTok. I'm terrified. I don't know where this is going to lead at all. But he does have a brilliant dream to make us the #1 Rotary club on TikTok, and he assures me it's not going to be that hard. So I'm not sure what that'll entail or where it'll take us. All of a sudden, maybe our meeting will be taken over and we'll have to improve our Zoom accounts to more subscribers, hopefully. So let's see where this goes. Austin, thank you so much for your effort. And do send him more content, friends, whatever you got. I'm sure he would like to sift through that. So awesome. Unless there's any other introductions, I want to make sure Nick gets back to work here. He looks like he's ready to move some furniture around here. So Kristen, would you be able to please introduce our guest speaker today? Thank you.
Yes, I'm pleased to introduce Nick. We don't know each other personally, we just met, but when I was, when we were all kind of dealing with the issues that were coming out of the tragedy in Afghanistan, the quick withdrawal, the sudden coming into power by the Taliban, and the desperate escape of many people who lived in Afghanistan, there were lots of stories. And one of them that I ran across, and I was just trying to remember where I even saw it, was a local organization in Maryland, Homes Not Borders, that was housed, as has always been, has for years been housing refugees and asylum seekers and immigrants, I believe, but in this case was also getting ready to welcome Afghan refugees as well. And again, help me if I'm should be saying asylee or asylum seekers, refugees. It's all those terms I'm still working on. Although I am a peace fellow and study peace and conflict resolution, and Nick himself studied international relations. It sounds like in global conflict. And Nick likes to ride motorcycles. So I'm imagining he has a cherry red Indian that he has driven across the desert. So prove me wrong, Nick, and tell us more about you and Homes Not Borders.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak to you all, actually. It's fantastic. We've had an amazing amount of outreach over the last 3 or 4 weeks. So Homes Not Borders was a very small organization to start out with. It was just a bunch of volunteers that were working with a non-denominational church in DC called National Community Church. And so we all started out as volunteers, and Laura, the now executive director, decided that she wanted to branch out on her own and start her own organization. And I she brought me on as well as the program manager. And from there, we were kind of doing, as Kristen explained, we were kind of setting up homes for incoming refugees at that time, and asylees as well. And then as the Afghan crisis started to accelerate and kind of devolve into the chaos that we've all seen now in the news, it became extremely important that we help the resettlement agencies be able to house all these incoming SIVs, which are special immigrant visa holders. And these are usually Afghans that have helped the US in some way, either through translation or have helped contractors, US contractors in some way, be it in office work or out in the field. And so they've really served this country, and this country owes them for the service that they've given us. And we felt very strongly about it, and the resettlement agencies have always been strong partners with us. And so when this happened over the month, I guess, in August, we kind of quickly had to coordinate a rapid response to the amount of resettlements we would have to be doing, plus all the outreach that came from media exposure through, interviews that the media was just very interested in the whole process of, the behind the scenes process of how these families were going to get resettled here in the US. Through that, we got an extreme amount of outreach, which is great. I mean, we truly, truly appreciate all the outreach that we've gotten over the last month. And we had to quickly adapt to that because our new storage space, which you see behind me, quickly got completely overrun with furniture that there's absolutely no path here. It was just completely full, and furniture was out the door all the way into the parking lot, and we had to quickly tarp it up. And the worst part about it is I wasn't even here when this was happening. I was overseas, and so the team clearly had to pull together to kind of make sure that got pulled off, and they did a great job, amazing job doing that. The outpour of generosity was so extreme that we had to actually find another warehouse the same size as this, a couple of doors down. And luckily, that lady, who is a Nigerian beer importer, was waiting on her state license, I guess, to distribute. And so she was looking for someone to sublease her space. And so that worked out perfectly. The timing was just absolutely amazing for us, because that was just about when that hurricane, the residual effects of the hurricane, were coming up this way. And so we had to quickly move all the furniture from the outside and manage to put it in that new space. But so that's what happened. So as one volunteer put it, we started out really small, and just over the last month became this massive thing where we have to hire drivers, and we're looking for our own truck now because we were renting so many trucks. And as still this today, we have pickups happening, and we have multiple truckloads of furniture being picked up twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week. And so it didn't make sense to keep renting trucks at that rate. So we had to find a new truck. We had to find new warehouse space. We had to hire another person to manage all the volunteers that have been reaching out to us, which is, I think, up to now, like close to 600 people that want to volunteer with us, and various groups as well. So if your group wanted to volunteer with us, we would definitely love to have you come do a home setup. And so groups are going to be one of the key elements in this post kind of with every crisis. You get the media outreach, and then people get awareness of it, and they get very interested, and then interest falls off very quickly. But these families are still going to be coming after the interest fades. And so we're going to need a lot of help sustaining that effort all the way throughout after the interest kind of fades away. And groups are going to be the main source of that assistance for us to make that happen. But I can show you around, actually. Let's see if we can do this. Just let me know if we lose connection. So I can turn you around. So basically, this is what our warehouse looks like. And we've had crews here pretty much close to every day of the week, just to kind of manage the flow of incoming. And so they've had to kind of process it. Boxes have come in, they have to process them, and then kind of sort them out. You see all the empty boxes. But this whole entire space was filled with furniture, and all the furniture we've been trying to move out into the second space now, just to have some kind of breathing room in here. But we've had amazing volunteers that have come up with all sorts of different ways of organizing. This is an example right here. You can see they've labeled the dishes that are in there, the amounts, and then they've even taken an instant photo of it so we know what's in the box. So you can see that there. Here's another example. It's just really, it takes an amazing amount of effort just to maintain all the items that are coming in. And here's a plate rack full of plates. And so they try to put them in sets for the families that we tend to serve. The families tend to be anywhere from a single person to a family of 11, which we did last week. And families of 11, large families like that, that takes a huge amount of effort to get all the furniture there. Make sure we have all the critical items that they need. And I can actually show you the inside of our office, which is what used to be an office, and now it's become part of our storage because it's just completely filled. And so these trash cans here are pre-packed. So this is how we usually, so they're pre-packed. They have all the small items in there. So you can see here, laundry detergents, toilet soap, dish soap, toilet brush, all that kind of stuff is inside of these pre-packed. So basically we can just grab and go because most of our setups are quite last minute. We have to be able to react to when the agencies reach out to us fairly quickly, sometimes within a 24-hour period. Let's get you back here. And so that's the only hiccup that we have with groups is sometimes groups want a lot of notice before they can do a setup, and we can kind of arrange that. If we get notice of a setup in advance, we can kind of plan ahead and do that. But most of the setups we do are very quick. So as of right now, we have 3 families that are in the pipeline. They're waiting for housing. And so they could notify us tomorrow that the families are coming by end of the week. And then we would have to mobilize really quickly and rent a truck, get the furniture out there, have volunteers come pick up the furniture, take it to the apartment, and then other groups would get all the small items and get them there. And so that's the process.
Nick, that's incredible. Can you explain to me just a little bit how the agency and the families through the pipeline, and then after you do the setup, is there a continuation, or how? I'm just amazed. Like, you just are like angels that set up an apartment of stuff, and then do you just walk out the door and shake hands with people and say God bless, or what?
We don't actually get to even meet the families, and we actually meet the families, and they reach back out and give us send us thank you notes or messages through the agencies and stuff like that. For the most part, we don't get to meet the families, so it's really you move in, you move out, and then sometimes we do the setup. We've had a couple of those actually in the last month where the family was arriving that afternoon and we were doing the setup that morning, and it's in minutes of the family arriving, we were just all packing up, ready, leaving the apartment, and the family was coming up the stairs as we were leaving. So those are rare cases, but it does happen. But for the most part, we don't get to meet them. But we have over years now, we've made connections with various people in these apartment complexes. And so we do have a lot of friends within the community.
That's incredible. Now, how many families approximately in a year? What kind of institutional history, just so we understand about these connections?
There's a couple of slides where those are on, but I can tell you in 2018 we did 87 setups, but that's going to be dwarfed by the amount we're going to be doing this year. We're probably doing twice that, if not more.
And those homes that the people are staying in, are they usually a long lease home that's part of the wider program that these people are being settled in, or how's that generally work, Nick?
So the housing is through, there's an apartment complex which they own several kind of complexes in the area, in the Riverdale area, Landover area, and they basically have an agreement with the agencies to kind of waive credit history and all those kind of things, which they don't come with. And so accessibility is an issue, especially with an influx like this. Finding the housing to house all these people is very hard. And the way it works is they get a stipend from the US government, from the State Department. And that stipend basically covers their rent for 3 months. And after the 3 months, they really have to be self-sustaining working members of society. And that can be hard for some, especially if there's a language barrier. And so that's the situation with the housing. So what we often see is families tend to move in together because it's cheaper and they can kind of collaborate on the rent. And so you have a lot of that happening after the 3 months period's up.
I see then. Interesting. I'm just wondering what it would be like to walk into a house like that was already set up and this was my life. It must be an incredibly emotional experience, and thank goodness for your volunteers. And how many volunteers do you have on a roster? Or
so we had, to begin with, we had like, I think like 10, 15 to 20 that were like the core group that were showing up week after week after week. And now with all these new volunteers coming in, we're trying to kind of devise systems to train new people to lead out setups for us as well, because the core group can't do that on their own. So that's what we're at right now. And so we have a lot of new volunteers that are kind of very enthusiastic about it. They want to learn the ropes. They want to learn how to lead out setups. They're also been active in other, with refugees or with SIVs in some other way, either through a previous career or through previous exposures or volunteering with other groups. And so they're very eager to come help us in any way possible. So we have a huge volunteer base right now. So I think we have about 70 people that are active as of this week. So yeah, it's been great. But we wouldn't be able to do it without the volunteer force. I mean, it wouldn't be possible.
Look, if you don't mind, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nick, for your brilliant work, and I'm proud to be the part of Rotary since long time, and it's a pleasure for me as a Rotarian to connecting you guys. I have just want to know that that there is thousands of families are coming right now from Afghanistan as asylees and also as well as a SIV. So how you guys recognize or find out the family who are really eligible and you are supporting them? If there is any criteria you have already set it for them, or you will go there and find out the family and supporting them?
So the criteria, all the criteria that the family choosing happens to the resettlement agencies. So all of that happens through them. And then they pass on that information to us. And then after the fact, after they've resettled here, we are trying to devise different programs to help them with rental assistance. And we had at one point a career mentoring program, which we've merged together with Upwardly Global. And that's a great organization. They really help immigrants, refugees, and asylum seekers, basically career mentoring in their career fields and all that kind of thing, trying to get them jobs in the fields that they were trained in, which is really hard once they get here. So they need a lot of help with that.
Okay, great. Appreciate it, bro.
No, thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, since we moved into questions, I'll ask a few.
Okay.
I've seen a post about, I think, a fundraiser. I think it's even a dinner event or something. So I thought I wanted to give you a platform to talk about that and any other fundraisers. And then I thought maybe you could, it seems like, right, again, there's so many families, it must be overwhelming. Homes Not Borders isn't the only one out there doing housing, is that right? Or can you tell us the patchwork of other organizations that does what you're doing for families?
Absolutely. So there's another organization called LSS, Lutheran Social Services. They also do a lot of setups. But we're kind of the main ones in the Maryland area. So we've done some in Virginia as well, and only a few in DC over the years. But but we're kind of the main group here in Maryland, Landover area. So a lot of like LSS, IRC, ECDC, all of these organizations kind of depend on us, either supplying goods to their setups, or if they have other groups doing them, then they can get the supplies they need from us, or we'll be doing the setups for them. So basically, yeah. So we are the main organization in the area here. There are a lot of smaller groups that are coming up now in Maryland as well, and in Virginia, that are trying to do this as well. It's just the scale becomes an issue for smaller groups, and the supplies needed and all that kind of thing. And that was an issue for us as well until we got the kind of visibility and outpour of donations coming in. But scale has always been an issue. Yeah.
And the other question was about your fundraising efforts and where you are with that.
So the fundraising efforts, so the fundraise, there's a couple of fun things coming up actually. So end of the month, we're having a storytelling event, and that is going to be really interesting actually for anyone that's interested in hearing the stories of, refugee stories of their herring experiences. And so they just put the schedule together. I think this morning it came out. And there's a Congolese refugee on there that will tell his story. There's one of our board members also who's an Indian immigrant. She has a great story as well. And then a couple of Afghan SIVs and an Iraqi SIV as well, who's on our board as well. And so that will be a great event. I think it's September 30th or 31st, but I can verify that for you. So that'll be a great fundraising event. To join the dinner event, I don't know that much about because it's still in the works. There's a couple of other events that we have planned that are coming up later in the year, which are still we're still trying to figure out the details on those. But the next thing coming up is a storytelling event, and it's going to be a great event to join if you're interested in hearing stories.
And that's open to us with the purchase of a ticket or something like that?
Absolutely, yeah. It's open to the public. Yeah.
Nick, thank you so much for this presentation tonight. It reminds me of my roots working with the refugee and immigrant community in Memphis, and it's important work, and I know that it's all-consuming work, so thank you for making time for us tonight. I was just going to say, if you would like Nick to send me some details on the storytelling event, I would be happy to plug that in our newsletter and get you some more reach if that would be of help to you.
That would be fantastic. Yeah, I can definitely do that. And on the slideshow, I don't know if we got to see any of the slides running in the background, but there's towards the end, I think the last slide is a quick little video clip, which kind of gives you a kind of brief overview of the process of a setup. So if you I don't know if you have time for it, but if you do, then the last slide is should be a video file.
We have all the time in the world. It says I need access to it, Nick. Is that?
You shouldn't have to. Should be.
Well, in the meantime, will you guys?
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
that's
the video.
Oh, there it is.
Does it?
Let's see.
Nick, have you worked with the Rotary Club before in Arlington?
I don't think anybody. No, I don't think so.
Okay, I just remember hearing about a Rotary Club over in Arlington doing a similar setup.
No, I don't think anybody's reached out to us from any other Rotary clubs. I think you're our first. Interesting.
Well, being a Rotary Club in the capital, we have a number of our colleagues here have long-term connections with Afghanistan, aside from myself, and of course, Iraq. So it was really important for you to come and speak to us today. It was wonderful to hear that there was that outpouring of support, that when people were, going through those very difficult days in August, their first thought was to get out and help how they could help. So I know I spoke with a friend today who got evacuated, and quite well-off fellow Afghan American, and he said, there was definitely 3 days of walking through military encampments to get home. It was a harrowing, terrible experience. And then a couple of days at the airport in Kabul. So I can only imagine the relief on their faces when they walk into a house that's going to be their own. So thank you, Nick, for what you do. And I'm glad that people, the best in people, came out on those really difficult days. From what you told us about the outpouring of materials and energy.
Absolutely, and we really appreciate the outreach, and for your group to highlight us is really nice. So thank you for that.
So tell us, what is the number one thing that you need that's on your wish list? Like, you always hear, like, food banks, they want diapers and, no more beans. Are you getting a lot of, like, toilet seats, but not enough, toilet brushes kind of thing? Or what's going on there?
So that's been interesting. So the things that we need the most actually are like beds, bunk beds, and mattresses. And we do have an Amazon wish list on our website as well. Those go
I can do
really
the mattresses. I've got 2. I've got 3.
well. We're very the agencies are very strict about the mattresses. So what I can actually show you, they have to be brand new mattresses just for variety purposes. But they look like this basically. So we got single beds.
They're in good condition.
Well, you can always send me a picture of it. Yeah, you can always reach out to me.
He doesn't know, Kristen, about what kind of bed bugs they might have
I
been
know,
exposed to.
I know, and I get it. I do. That's why I have 3 mattresses.
But you can always send me a picture of it. That's no problem.
So then, Nick, I'm sure then you must like raw hard cash to buy those niche items that don't get dropped off. So tell us about those niche items that you need and like maybe where cash helps.
Absolutely. So toiletries is a major thing that's a major purchase item that we have to supply. We've gotten a lot over the last few weeks, but those go very, very quickly. So I could send you a list of the items, but everything that I showed you in the trash can actually are those critical items that move pretty quick. As far as furniture items go, we don't actually purchase that much furniture or any at all. Actually, it's all donations, donated furniture that we have to go out and pick up. And we really emphasize that it has to be in good quality because we try to, set up a nice home and treat the families with respect as well as towards, the items that we put in there. So side tables, coffee tables, dressers, all of those items go fairly quickly because we use multiple of those. And if it's a family of 11, you can use a whole bunch of side tables in an apartment, a 3-bedroom apartment like that. So they move quickly. But as far as things that we have to purchase, it's usually pots and pan sets, and toiletries, mattresses, bed frames. And yeah, those are the main items.
That's awesome. I'm just jumping on all your social medias here while you're talking, so I can get more information about that. This is marvelous. Thank you very much.
May I ask a question? If we know folks that have trucks, can we volunteer for transportation to help pick up items or drop off items?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That would help us out tremendously, actually. There's pickups.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was also just going to say, I wonder if our club could sign up for a date in advance and just be ready and on call. And then, you could use some or all of us or none of us on those dates. It's just a thought.
Yeah, you can shoot me a date. Probably, I would guess in October, I guess at this point, or it could be November as well. And I can, as the family lists come out of potential setups, I can kind of set aside a setup for you guys for sure. And then if it happens to line up, then yeah, absolutely. We can pull the trigger on that.
Amazing.
Also, I have the impression that families are arriving on a much more staggered rate than I anticipated. At first, I thought there was going to be 1,000 families landing all at once. It sounds like they're held up for slowly coming off of bases and what have you. I was just curious what that's looking like for the DMV area.
Okay, so yeah, that's a great question actually. So as of recent, there's been a little lull just because there's been a processing log as well, and they also want to make sure that they all go through the required health checks and the vaccination process as well. So there's a bit of a lag right now, but as those families, go through that process, they'll start coming in on a pretty regular basis, to the point where we'll probably have like maybe five to seven setups a week, potentially. And so we're kind of preparing for that. But right now, you're correct. There is a kind of there's a little bit of a lull.
I would
I
imagine.
was wondering, go ahead. I guess I was thinking about that term I actually heard many years ago when I was going to Afghanistan, is that there was catastrophic success with the program that had been set up. And it sounds like you have catastrophic success in that everybody wants to help at the same time, and you're getting all these donations at the same time. So I was just wanting you to sort of talk about how your job has changed in this time period, what you did as a program manager, what you're doing as a program manager, what you prefer to be doing when the crisis ends and you can get back to normal life.
So my job's changed tremendously, actually, because just while I was gone and this whole thing was happening, when I got back, there were 2 or 3 people doing what I was doing all by myself before. So it's been great to have the help, actually. And that same thing goes for Laura as well, the executive director. Her role has been like, it's just ballooned into something completely unmanageable without volunteers and staff helping out. So my job was fairly subdued before this whole thing, and now I'm just trying to manage all these different groups, and making sure the pickups and the furniture are all in place for the setups that are upcoming, and coordinating with the agencies as well, and with the case managers, just to kind of create some kind of staggered flow for the teams that we have that are going to do the setups. But for the most part, it's a group effort. So we have volunteers have taken charge, actually, is what's happened. There's volunteers that have taken charge of storage. We have 2 ladies that have completely just taken ownership of this whole place, and they've kind of whipped it into shape over the last 3 weeks, amazingly. And they've kind of created their own subgroups of a subset of volunteers that really enjoy organizing storage. And that's their thing. And so we have these different groups that have kind of developed now over the last 3 weeks. And some people really like doing setups, so they've kind of taken charge of that aspect, and they really sign up for all the setups that are coming in. So that was very nice, a pleasant surprise, actually, how the volunteers kind of took charge of this whole situation.
I'm going to add one other thing, and this is a warning to those of us in the club, because I'm not an interior decorator, but the people who do your setups look like they have serious interior decorator talents. And so if our club did it, I hope we have some people here who know how to put together some paintings and
it's
curtains
into place amazingly every time. And none of them I don't think we have any professional interior decorators, although some interior decorators have reached out to us as of recently, wanting to do a setup for us, which would be interesting to see. But I don't think anybody's trained as an interior decorator in our team. It kind of all just falls into place. We try to kind of match colors with match color scheme, and the rest of it just kind of falls into place. But it looks more professional than what it is. I mean, we don't put that much effort into color coordination, but we try to kind of match the surface of it, and just to kind of make it flow nicely. But no training needed.
Excellent. Well, again, thank you very much for introducing your organization and all the magic, your little angel elves that do all this magic. It's just outstanding, Nick. Great to hear that. Thank you. In a world where you hear such negative things all the time, I'm glad that you're getting overwhelmed with volunteers as well. That's just beautiful to hear.
No, thank you.
Does anyone else listening to jump in there? One last comment to Nick. Otherwise, we'll probably move on to Happy Dollars and finish up our meeting.
Hey, I'm Tracy. I'm Guillermo's wife. I was just curious. I actually worked on the Afghan refugee issue for the State Department out at Dulles Expo when we were bringing 3,000 people in a day. And I recognize that a lot of folks have kind of come in without any documentation at all in terms of an identification. So I just wondered how you guys are addressing that when you're kind of working on leases, because now it's not just like, oh, you don't have any, you know, you can't put a down payment on an apartment and you don't have a credit history. It's also, you also don't have a valid identification kind of provided, or if the bases are providing support in that arena.
That's a great question, but we don't actually deal with the actual leases. That'll all be the case manager from the resettlement agencies. They'll be the ones that'll have to deal with the identification concerns as far as that goes. Basically, they line up the apartments for the families coming in. They don't notify us, and then we send a team in to do the setup. Is how it works for us. So we don't really deal with any of that. But it is a good question, and thank you for helping families at the Expo Center. That was a big job.
Yeah, no problem. Well, thank you, and sorry I missed the beginning, so I apologize if I you covered this already and I asked the inning question.
No problem at all.
That's incredible, Tracy. Guillermo had mentioned that you were doing that. Thank you. Well, that's great. I see that we have a couple more guests here. Dominique Harrison, sorry. Did you want to say hello if you had a question or otherwise? Well, perfect. I'm going to say thank you very much, Nick. You're welcome to stick around for the next few minutes as well. But we usually just like to pass the hat around here, and we tax one another for good news. So, you know, if we call it happy dollars. For example, I am a Canadian citizen, and last night we had an election. So win, lose, or draw, it was a safe, healthy election with the opposition admitting defeat, and government will be formed soon enough. So I'll pay $1 for all the volunteers that went to the polls and manned the polling stations, holding an election during a pandemic. No small task, as my American colleagues here know. So $1 for the great poll workers in the true north.
I have audio now. Can you hear me? I just wanted to.
Yes,
absolutely,
welcome.
Dominique, please.
Oh, okay, great. I just got finished with a meeting, so I joined as soon as I can. So basically, I just want to be a fly on the wall. I did get a referral from Austin, so I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I got a chance to check out the group, and like a lot of the things that you all are doing, it piqued my interest because I was doing a lot of work in the area in Dupont and most of DC. I'm a realtor, by the way, an IT technician also by trade, but I like some of the things you're doing. But the real surprise for me this evening, and I won't stay long, is that to get to hear, come in on the comments that Nick made regarding the housing, and particularly about the cause with the Afghan refugees that you all are working with. So that sounds like some pretty good work. So I just want to be a fly on the wall, and I guess specifically to Nick, but in generally to everyone else. I have seen an increase in the need for rental support, particularly Hispanic immigrants coming into the DMV area, and just starting to see some Afghans. So I am keeping track of that, and that is something that I'm interested in seeing how that's all going to play out. Because as you all know, the housing market is pretty difficult as it is to get into an area, and let alone to find programs and support. So I'm just here if anyone needs, and to be a fly on the wall. So once again, Austin, thank you. Appreciate the invite, and I'll just let you guys do your thing, and I'll continue.
Right on.
So glad you were able to make it.
Welcome.
Yeah. So that's marvelous. Austin advised me here that you found us through Instagram. So we're happy that you did buzz on by, and please join us anytime.
I will.
Thank you. Right on. Would anyone else like to continue on with happy dollars? I see Gaston is he's tossing his $3, and he's excited for the month of October.
I'll throw in 3 for Dominic joining us tonight.
Outstanding. The social media is winning members potentially. Let's see.
Hello.
Hi, Janice.
Hi. Okay, I'll do 5 happy bucks. I've been gone for a while. And I just want to say hello to everyone and thank you so much to our guest speaker and thank you to our guests. Yeah, 5 happy bucks.
I'm gonna do 20 to do some penitent bucks for missing last week's meeting and a board meeting. So that's, that's a heavy price to pay. But I more want to focus on the happy bucks of Nick taking some time out of the busy schedule he obviously has in order to with the club. And I think on a timely issue where when I was thinking about what we could do, what I could do, and all of this, feelings about what's going on in Afghanistan, it was just really nice to know that we could hear from a local group that's doing, hands-on work. It just feels good to know that there are good people out there. So the rest of my happy bucks go to you, Nick, to the organization, and in honor of all the people who have volunteered, but most especially to the bravery of the Afghans who are still there and who are making this harrowing journey to here. And I hope, and I'm sure that many of the people who arrive will make our country much better.
Very well said, Kristen. I'm going to just copy and paste everything that you just said about the beauty of what Nick spoke about and the people that are coming into the US right now, and echo your $20.
Hey everyone, I'm going to give 5 happy bucks. Nick, thank you so much for the presentation, everything you've been doing. I definitely have some furniture that I'd like to talk with you about, so we'll find a time after this. Thank you again.
Thank
Bill,
you.
it's all marble. It's way too heavy. With all the gold embroidery in it, it's just no, it's too.
Ouch.
Anyways, sorry, putting off fundraising efforts here. I'll pay $2 for that joke. Okay, so now it's 3 IO.
I'll throw in 20. $1 for Phil's birthday this month, and on the 26th, happy birthday. And thank you, Nick, for being with us. I'm just so glad to hear directly what's been going on. A lot of us have sent in, hey, of course, to volunteer and haven't heard back. And it told me that you were all, overwhelmed with people who wanted to help. That's a really good thing. I'd love to know that you have more people than you can really get going. So I was really glad to be on the call tonight to hear more specifics about how we could help. And I know I've got people in my neighborhood and friends that have trucks and furniture. And so I'll be putting a call out and trying to get them connected with your organization. And just so grateful for your time. I know you've been so busy. So thank you for all that you're doing.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Cheers.
Appreciate that.
I have also a good news, if you don't mind to say that. Last week I have done my interview with the USCIS office, and inshallah soon I will receive to be granted my asylum process, and soon I will be contacted with my family, and after that we will bring my family as soon as I receive my asylum application to be approved by the office of the USCIS. So this is a brilliant and good news for me. And I hope that soon, inshallah, I will be here in the United States and to be the part of Rotary, as I have contacted many Rotarians here in the United States, and they have seen my work in Afghanistan and the achievement that we had during last 7 years in Afghanistan. That was much appreciated, and I hope to be the part of US Rotarians here in the United States.
Thanks for joining us tonight, mate. I'm excited for our call and catch up. Excellent. Thanks. Anyone else? Well, right on. So next week, just want to promote, it's Saturday at City Blossoms again. We're not going to be having a Rotary meeting. It's going to be off next week. I know that Austin has messaged me about DMing a few restaurants around Dupont Circle. At this point, we don't have intentions to be meeting in person at least until the middle of October with the public ordinances in DC and continuing Delta situation. We want to make sure that everyone's meeting safely, but I have no advice against meeting together and joining socially. I just don't want to be forcing anyone to go somewhere they might not be safe. So maybe if you're interested in catching up with Austin and getting a drink downtown and figuring out maybe where our next location might be, I think he'll probably be willing to do that. I mean, the guy was willing to help me move from my apartment, so he's willing to do all kinds of crazy things.
Got your back.
Past that, friends, is there anything else going on this week we should know about? Okay, that looks like a big resounding no.
Just a super huge thanks to Nick. And Nick, I put it in the chat, but I also plugged the wish list for your for the Amazon wish list and the storytelling event on September 30th in the newsletter, what's just hit your inboxes. So feel free to check out any and all of that.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Thank you.
Just to tie on to that real quick too, Nick, I'll add the Amazon wish list when I upload this onto our YouTube channel too, just in case.
Thank you. That's great.
Well, I can't remember the last time we had a speaker that took us on a tour of their facility. I mean, you're a legit great speaker too, not just all around good guy helping out people in need. So
Luke, don't you think he'd make a great Rotarian? Let's bring him into the club.
I want to. I mean, we could probably kidnap him in that truck at least. Nick, we'd love to have you back. Please come and join us anytime. We have an evolving commitment right now to our Afghan colleagues. It's been discussed at the board level, and we're looking at ways that we can best have a lasting impact and continued relationship. So, you're definitely in our orbit, friend. Please come around again. We're excited to continue to learn more about your organization, and we're going to talk about how we can volunteer, given our members' capacity and numbers. So
absolutely, we would love to have you. We'd love to have you, and thank you so much for inviting me. It's great fun actually to talk to you all. It's great.
Well, and if we could be so bold, we might even forward your name and onto other Rotary clubs, because I believe we need to put you in front of more people, especially in the district.
Sure.
Because there's a lot of people upscaling all the time, nicer houses, and also people that care. So we want to make sure that they both know where to send their good stuff.
It sounds great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nick. All right, friends. Well, we generally end our meetings with a reading of the four-way test. So I will start to lead the group of the things we think, say, and do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
And is it fun?
Thank you. Right on. Well, look after yourselves, stay healthy,